president, his measures amount to an executive power grab. He says the president paid lip service to our fundamental constitutional rights, but took actions that disregard the Second Amendment and the legislative process. You're the professor, constitutional law. What you heard today, does that amount to the president paying lip service to the Constitution and the rights of those who own guns?
Well, no. The Supreme Court is the final arbiter on what the Second Amendment protects. And they said in the Heller case in 2008, which is the master case on this whole thing, that the Second Amendment only protects people's rights to keep the sort of weapons that were used in colonial days or weapons analogous to that. And they went out of their way to say in the Supreme Court opinion that assault weapons could be banned, that automatic weapons could be banned, that mentally ill people should not be able to get weapons, that there could be background checks. In other words, that there could be a whole range of reasonable restrictions, and that would not infringe on people's Second Amendment rights to have weapons.
Let me also ask you this remark from Senator Marco Rubio. He says the president is targeting the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens instead of seriously addressing the real underlying causes. Again, back to the question, and you explained the law and what's on the books here. Is there anything in what you heard that would curtail the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens as alleged by Senator Rubio?
No, I don't think so. I think people use the Second Amendment sort of loosely. They mean gun rights that we think people should have. They talk about the Second Amendment encompassing any rights that they think are desirable for people to have. It's loose language. Now, admittedly, if these legislative proposals were put into effect in some kind of blunderbuss way and not carefully crafted, there is some point at which they might be too draconian, too restrictive, and that could infringe the Second Amendment. But nothing that I heard about the president's proposals, either his legislative proposals or his executive orders that he's talking about, nothing in those in any way conflicts with the Second Amendment that the Supreme Court has defined definitively in Heller, and it was a very limited definition.
John, let me play what the president said, specifically talking to the issue of the Second Amendment, the concerns, or at least the words he knew would come following his remarks. Let's play it.
I respect our strong tradition of gun ownership and the rights of hunters and sportsmen. I also believe most gun owners agree that we can respect the Second Amendment while keeping an irresponsible, law-breaking few from inflicting harm on a massive scale.
John, the NRA President David Keene told Time magazine that they, for the first time, have money and coordination that they did not have before. They say they see this as their best shot, and it is a shot that they are taking, and they're coming right at us, referring to people like yourself who are advocates for some kind of gun laws, a ban on some of these assault-style, military-style rifles. He says that you guys see it as your best chance, and you're coming for them.
Well, I'm one of those law-abiding gun owners who believes in the Second Amendment, but also believes that the founders never intended the Second Amendment to extend to the mentally ill, criminals, and even Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, and IRA terrorists who literally come to the United States, to 33 states and thousands of annual gun shows where they can legally buy military-style weapons easier in our country than theirs without an ID or a background check. I was really proud of the president today, and also incredibly sad. I mean, think about those 20 beautiful kids who are now like a political football. They were killed with a military-style weapon and a high-capacity ammunition clip made for war. The president is simply trying to save other kids' lives. And since Newtown, 900 more Americans have died from gun violence. And guys like Rubio and the Republicans and even some Democrats are saying he's trying to take, the Second Amendment away and people's rights. No, he's trying to save lives without banning most guns. And the only guns he's talking about banning are military-style weapons. I mean, we've seen in Washington how broken our Congress is. But on the gun issue, it's our democracy that's dying. And there is no way that any of these proposals are going to pass Congress in the existing Congress because our Congresspeople, a majority in Congress, are more concerned about the unregulated tens of millions of dollars that come from the unregulated gun industry and the NRA than public health and safety.
So then, John, if that's the case, what would give people like yourself any hope if you believe that, you know, here's a Congress that went through this whole issue with, for example, giving relief to the victims of Hurricane Sandy? We see what happens with fiscal issues. And is this perhaps one of those issues that fall into ideological differences? And if that is the case and you have no budging and this will not make it through House Republicans who are choosing to say this is tyranny and abuse of power and power grab, what gives you any hope that things have really changed regarding gun legislation since Newtown?
Because, Tamron, this is the soft, ugly underbelly of us losing our democracy to special interests. And if the American people can't see it in living color, that Congress doesn't care about 20 beautiful babies killed in elementary school and 900 Americans killed since 3,000 Americans every single month, that's the equivalent of a 9/11 attack every month from gun violence. And if the American people don't pick up the phone and jam the Capitol switchboard, then we deserve what we get. But this issue could help change Congress in 2 years. And this issue, I really hope the gun lobby tries to impeach our president, because that may be the only thing that keeps this public health crisis that kills 87 Americans a day, might keep it alive until we can beat these spineless congresspeople who are more concerned about not having a primary challenger and NRA blood money than they are about American lives.
John, thank you so much for your time. Professor Rothstein, great pleasure having your expertise as well. Thank you both. And coming up, I'll talk with Democratic Congressman Sander Levin, who recently said there is a 50-50 chance the House will pass President Obama's sweeping gun proposals. We'll get his reaction to some of what his colleagues, Republican colleagues, are saying. Plus, how was President George W. Bush's Interior Secretary able to pull off an office bathroom renovation that cost $220,000? And why are we learning about this only now?